Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Roundup Show. I'm joined, as always, by Clive.
All right, gentlemen.
And Stefan.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello, hello. All right, let's crack on. Man United against Everton, which was the early kickoff. Well, United, a few changes into the starting 11. We saw Cavani come in for Ronaldo. Pogba was benched, and surprise, surprise, Martial started on the left. For Everton, young Anthony Gordon came in for the injured Alex Iwobi. Now, United got off to a pretty decent start. Had quite a lot of possession, to be honest, early going. Wan-Bissaka crossed to Martial quite early on, and Martial jumped up and completely missed his header. And then I think it was Cavani's turn. Ball whipped in by Fred. Went relatively close, but a decent save by Pickford, even though it was close to the centre of the goal by Cavani. And then Everton sort of got a foothold in that first half and did relatively well. A few chances created. I think the best fell to Gray. It was a good stop by De Gea. But then, seemingly out of nothing, I think Greenwood was on the right side. He just hit it as hard as he could into Bruno Fernandes, who beautifully controlled it. It was amazing, delicate, and then passed it into the path of Martial, who he just side-footed it as hard as he can. It deflected in it and went in. And then second half, United sort of were in control in a way. We were having more of the possession. Everton weren't creating anything of note. And then all of a sudden, a corner from the, United's corner, ball over by the far side. And then Everton counter-attacked. Fred got out-muscled by Gray, who then passed it into Decore, who then found Townsend, and it was 1-1. And after that, it was a real struggle. Before that, I should mention as well that Cavani came off for Ronaldo.
He was poor, wasn't he, Cavani?
He was quite poor.
Probably absolutely knackered. I mean, how old is he now? And you put in a
58.
he put in a hell of a shift for 20, 30 minutes against Villarreal. And he didn't go away in the last international break, largely because Solskjaer didn't think his condition was up to it. But I mean, it's bizarre leaving Ronaldo on the bench. And so who is it that came out? Alex Ferguson's actually come out, hasn't he?
He was in I think he was in one of the nice rooms at Old Trafford speaking to a former MMA fighter.
Chat, wasn't it?
Yeah, with Khabib, and he said that you should always start with your best players. And he was like, Ronaldo basically should have started, and I think that's gone,
right. So
that's gone viral.
He didn't say Ronaldo then, but
no.
Interpreted as that.
No. Khabib, this former MMA fighter, said that Ronaldo came on in the second half, and Ferguson, well, he should have started because you should always start with your best players, and that's pretty much gone viral now. So,
director there though, still Ferguson. I mean, it's a bit odd, really, and this is always going to be a problem for Solskjaer. And any manager that comes in, the press have kind of latched onto it in the last day or two. You've got the king of football, the king of the theatre of dreams, sort of not lambasting Solskjaer, but voicing disapproval in his team selection. I mean,
it's a Man United way, isn't it? Like, you'd have Matt Busby, wouldn't you, down one corridor and then
or Bobby Charlton.
Yeah.
It's always been like that, hasn't it? So.
But Ferguson. After Ferguson started winning silverware, mind you, which took him, 7 years, it was that 6th or 7th year when he was getting questioned a lot. Now, Solskjaer's, this is his 3rd season in the role, and we're questioning, or Ferguson is questioning, playing what is a 35, 36-year-old who, frankly, isn't getting the service, is he? I mean...
No, not at all. To be honest.
You must have noticed that, Aaron.
Of course.
What really stuck out for me in that Everton game was how deep Ronaldo was coming to try and get the ball, to try and conjure something up.
And you have to remember, he came on when we were 1-0 up, and I do think that was a bit of a strange decision. I understand taking off Martial because I think he was injured, and Sancho came on, which was great. But at the same time, this is the 54th minute. When we don't need to really chase the game, it's more about keeping the ball, keeping possession. And if they do have the ball, then chasing them down. Cavani's better at that than Ronaldo, but he decided to bring Ronaldo on. And I think that goes to show that there was question marks about how he can keep all the players happy at United, especially the forwards. We've got an abundance of amazing players up there. and he's struggling. He really
An
is.
abundance.
Because
Who's struggling? Ronaldo?
No. Ole Solskjaer is struggling to keep everyone happy because he thinks that he has to play them or there'll be a rift in the group, right? So if you are choosing a team to chase the ball and make sure that we have it and make sure that Everton, when they do have the ball, are being chased down, you don't bring on Ronaldo. You don't bring on Ronaldo right now. That seems pretty pointless. But of course, he chose to play Ronaldo because Ronaldo would be up in arms if he didn't get on the pitch. So, and I think that was the first time. That's the first time I saw evidence of him struggling with the squad and decisions to be made. Because if I'm being honest, Lingard deserved to start that game, but he won't kick up a fuss. And if he does kick up a fuss, then he's semi-easy to deal with. Whereas,
it's semi-easy for Lingard to deal with that himself because he's able to talk to clubs as of January and leave on a free. So it probably doesn't particularly bother him. He loves Man United, and he'll the way things are looking, he'll have a semi-good season there. He'll probably chip in with 10, 12 goals, and someone will come up and offer him to sign on, and he'll leave on a free, and that'll be United's fault. And you say like leaving him Ronaldo on the bench was a massive issue. Bringing him on seemed to disjoint the whole way that United were possibly able to see out the game. Signing him has been the main issue, to be perfectly honest. And I'm sure it's just been done out of desperation of not letting other clubs have him.
Well, he's a good signing. I'd still rather have Ronaldo than not have him. But I'm just saying, I don't know if Solskjaer doesn't look like he's can cope. He dropped him, but then he still felt the pressure to bring him on at a time that he didn't need to bring him on. And that to me just screams that Solskjaer is struggling.
Well, every time, when Everton scored, did the camera go to Ronaldo straight away? And then they're coming off the pitch and the camera's on Ronaldo. So it's not like the broadcasters. It's like the all or nothing Ronaldo show.
Even when we scored, the camera panned to Ronaldo just to check that he was applauding the fact that we scored.
Exactly.
They've turned it in. And this will continue till he leaves the club again. They've turned it into the Truman Show, basically, there, to an extent. Because,
And Solskjaer, to be fair, is a very easy target.
Well, he is. And he's damned if he does, and he's damned if he doesn't.
Exactly.
If he plays him and he doesn't perform, the media will set into him and they'll set into the club as a whole. But the fans probably will want to see Ronaldo play, and that will probably happen more often than not. But there will come a time, and time will tell. He scored 2 goals against an absolutely abortionate Newcastle side and a tap-in against West Ham.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's been it, right? I'm very interested to see how he performs against Liverpool in about 3 weeks' time. For me, that is the acid test. That is the ultimate way up of how well he can still perform at this level. There's no questioning his ability, but is he still able to apply that ability?
You just have to remember what you just said there is what Ronaldo does. It's the job of the players around him to get him, like you said it yourself at the beginning when we just started, that you have to get the balls into him. And right now, we're not doing that. It's going down the wings. It's going down to Fred. Going down to Greenwood, who's inverted. He's a left-footed player on the right side. So he has to cut back in then to find a player who's going to cross it. And if he can't, it goes back to the other side. And who's on the other side? Maybe Martial or maybe Pogba, who are both right-footed players playing on the left.
Or a seriously underperforming Sancho, which is also part of the problem.
I said Sancho came on and did really well, actually, but he doesn't seem to want to play him down the right-hand side, which is his more natural position, which I don't understand because you've got a player there who can assist. We saw last season in the Bundesliga. Can thread it through to... No. When Sancho comes on, he's not playing down the right side. He's sticking him on the left side. So if he finds space down the left, then what does he have to do? He has to cut back in. And teams know this about us. So why not put him on the right where he's at least got the option? It gives an option for him to cross the ball in with his right foot. Or it can feint and come back in. But we're not doing that.
It's just disjointed the whole side, though, hasn't it? Because Greenwood's then been shifted out to the right, which means Sancho can't play there.
Right, but yeah, exactly. And I think we have to try and give Greenwood a chance down the left, or just put
play
Sancho
2 up
on
top.
The right.
Play 2 up top.
I don't think so.
4-4-2. Come on.
In the past, lads.
You'd play Ronaldo up top on his own there.
Yeah, of course. If you can, why wouldn't you?
Well, it didn't exactly work against Everton, did it? Because he was coming back deep all the time.
Well, he came on. Yeah.
And they're going to play better teams than Everton this season. I really do like this Everton side, but I mean, they will play better teams.
And we got away with it, to be honest, because I didn't mention, did I, about the what's he called? Tom Davies. Tom Davies, who should have just
bottled it, didn't he? Really,
he should have absolutely smashed that ball into the bottom corner. Instead, he looked to his left and
to pick out a centre back.
Yeah, and he was offside. I mean,
well, there you go. I mean, that just sums up United's afternoon, even really, doesn't it? Because I mean, picking up a centre back in defence, totally unmarked. I mean, Maguire
was offside.
He was offside, but I mean, no one was anywhere near him, and he was only just offside. There was only like a foot in it.
But we have to remember as well that Everton were really under strength because they had no Calvert-Lewin,
no Richarlison.
Iwobi was injured as well. So and Seamus Coleman. I mean, those are four.
Who was it? Who was it that Damari Gray bundled off the ball, Aaron?
Fred.
I mean, that's just appalling, really.
That was from our corner. We were 1-0 up, and we got countered being 1-0 up. Who does that happen to? That's supposed to happen when you're 1-0. When you're 1-0 down. And
I mean, fair play to Gray. I mean, he's been a revelation for Everton. I've never seen him in the 5 or so years Gray was at Leicester City. I don't think I've ever seen him shoulder barge someone like he did on Saturday.
Seriously, he looks amazing.
He's great.
He's been brilliant.
He's been brilliant. And the thing is with Damari Gray, for me, he's been told by Rafa, just play down the middle. Just go down the middle, basically, and just express yourself. And it's been the same. We'll come to Leicester later on, but I mean, the conundrum with Leicester City has always been Jamie Vardy. Slimani's fallen by the wayside. Ahmed Musa's fallen by the wayside. And Gray's been another victim of Vardy's success.
When he was
Ahmed Musa, I just want to make this point about Ahmed Musa. Ahmed Musa played down the middle for Nigeria in the 2018 World Cup and had a great World Cup. And whenever he got a brief chance at Leicester, he did all right down the middle, but he just, was never going to overtake Vardy. And now we're seeing the best of Gray at Everton. It's to Everton's game.
Do you think when Gray was at Leicester that he didn't have the physique that he does have now? Because he seems to be really strong. Isn't he? He looks really strong.
He's very slight. He is.
Even though he is slight, he still looks like he can take care of himself. Whereas Leicester,
he can probably take care of himself down Broadchurch on a Saturday night in Leicester. I wouldn't want paths with him. I reckon he'd probably chuck out a decent elbow. I mean, come on. I mean, he's a slight character, athletically built, yes. Very, very, very quick, yes. I mean, maybe it was just a case of Fred just thought, I'll just guide this ball out and no one's going to be within 10 yards of me. Well, I mean, that's just pathetic from Fred, to be perfectly honest.
Oh, yeah. I think he pretty much had an opportunity to just whack it into the crowd and put it out for a throw.
It comes back to what we said weeks ago. Why did United sign Ronaldo when it was blatantly obvious they needed a Basuma or some kind of central holding midfielder? So you're not putting square pegs in round holes like Pogba or playing absolute garbage like Fred in that position. I mean, this. I actually thought United had a chance at the title, but I mean, losing it home to Villa, drawing at home to Everton, who are severely understrengthened.
I think 1 point from that potential 6 is.
And you've had a kind start. You haven't really played one of the big teams, have you, like the rest of them?
No, correct.
Leicester in a couple of weeks, though, isn't it?
And then after that, we have big teams.
Yeah. Going to be an interesting run, that.
All right, let's move on. Clive, Burnley against Norwich.
Shite. Absolute crap. What is the point of these fixtures? Seriously, I'd deduct these 2 points, honestly. I mean, woe be me that put Wood in my fantasy league team and captained the fucker, thinking that he would actually, deliver at least a couple of goals. I mean, I set up my man cave. I introduced Abigail, my daughter, to the man cave.
She allowed in
at the weekend. She gets a VIP pass.
Okay.
And I had Burnley Norwich on the laptop, just praying for captain points in my FPL team, and I had Chelsea Southampton on the TV with Lukaku in my team and a fair few people in my mini league captaining Lukaku. Thankfully, Lukaku blanked. Wood, bloody hell. I mean, he's lucky he didn't get a red card. And Burnley just aren't a very good side. I mean, Maxwell Cornet, might actually bring the quality that will keep him in that league. You do wonder about his injury record.
You're relying on a left back to keep him in the league. You're in trouble.
I mean, a left back that was playing extremely advanced against Leicester. I mean, Tarkowski, they need to address that problem quickly because he was outstanding against Norwich, and he's out. He's another one. He can talk to clubs in January. If Leicester,
that's what I was about to say. Do you want him?
If Leicester have got, because Vestergaard basically is about the only thing Vestergaard's useful for in a back two pairing of a set of centre half is hanging up your fucking washing. We need someone like Tarkowski in there that's not going to mess about. And I think Leicester, because they're not going to pay 35 million for a defender which was what we were quoting in the summer, for a defender that's going to cost 10, 15 at the most in January, or he goes on a free. You know, I mean, Burnley have backed themselves into a huge corner here with him, and if he leaves in January, who are they going to replace him with? They've got Vidra, they've got Rodriguez, they've got Wood, they've got Lennon, they've got. I mean, everyone keeps crowing on about McNeil in Burnley's midfield. I haven't seen him do anything since he stuck one in the postage stamp against Everton away. I mean, really, I mean, Sean Dyche has worked miracles there, and you know he deserves his extended contract. But what are these American owners come in and done? Where's the support for him? I mean, I haven't seen anything, and these are questions Burnley fans must be asking. Like, please do comment on it. You know, give us some insight as to what these owners are doing, because the way I see it is they've just laboured the club with a shed load of debt, and the team hasn't seen any benefit from it whatsoever. And as for Norwich, I mean, their project will be to stay in the top 26 of two divisions, and I mean, I'd just be totally.
I think they're going to maintain that as well.
Well, yeah,
on course.
I mean, I just, if I was a Norwich City fan, I'd just be totally apathetic to the whole season.
Just wait until next year, and then it'll be a lot happier when you fighting to get back into the Premier League. Then take another year off.
But then they'll probably lose Cantwell, and they'll probably lose one or two others. Max Aaron's probably as well, and they'll probably reinvest it, and they might have youth coming through. But if you're a Norwich City fan, I mean,
to be fair, that was a pretty decent point they got.
Well, at least it's a point. I mean,
were they heading for 0 points before?
Toss up. It's a toss-up to who's worse in that league, Newcastle or Norwich. Burnley aren't far off, hotly followed by Southampton. If Sean Dyche keeps Burnley up this season, he deserves a knighthood. It's that simple. Okay. He does, really. And 20% off B&Q. I mean, that's exactly what I'd give him, to be honest.
I think he'd prefer that over the knighthood, to be honest.
Yeah. More for me, and that's the first time and the last time you'll see a Burnley player in my FPL team this season.
Not even the aforementioned Cornet.
No.
All right, fair enough.
God, no.
We're going to come to you now, Stefan. Chelsea versus Southampton.
Yes, it finished 3-1, but it wasn't necessarily straightforward for Chelsea. The lineup, he shuffled around it, didn't he? He put Loftus-Cheek in.
Mm-hmm.
And Callum Hudson-Odoi was on the left. So he's making good use of that squad. And they had quite a bright start, Chelsea. Chalobah scoring from a set piece. Maybe Southampton a question why there was no one on the back post. And then Werner scored, but it was disallowed. It was quite unlucky with that because it was about 2 minutes after he put the ball in the net. And I think he said in the post-match that's his first half summed up his time at Chelsea so far. Because he huffed and puffed and nothing to show for it. Second
and
half,
he's had like something like 16 disallowed goals.
That's incredible. Unbelievable. I haven't had a chance to check the stats in Germany. Obviously, would have had VAR, I think, the last few seasons. But I mean,
it's not very German-like, is it? So it's not very, efficient.
Yeah. But second half, Chilwell gives away a penalty, and that stunk of someone that hasn't played enough football, just sort of gets caught flat-footed, brings down, I think it was Livramento. And you can see the fans in the shed, like hands on their heads, because they know it's a stonewall penalty. Doesn't even protest it. And then obviously James Ward-Prowse doesn't miss. Werner goes straight up the other end, clear through, puts it straight at McCarthy, who had a good game. And then Saints were sort of in the ascendancy. High press, pushing Chelsea back. And Mendy plays pretty much a hospital ball to Jorginho. And then Ward-Prowse catches him just above the ankle. And at first, it looks like a yellow card in real time. And then when you slow it down and the ref goes to the side of the pitch, it's clearly a red card. That's really unlucky for Southampton. And then, it's all Chelsea. But it struck me strange that he brought on Ross Barkley at this point and left Havertz and Ziyech on the bench. And Barkley almost had an immediate impact. Put the ball wide to Azpilicueta. Great assist for Werner. And I think even the neutrals are quite happy to see Werner score that. And then towards the end...
No, I wasn't. But carry on.
No luck. Absolutely no luck. And then towards the end, Chilwell redeems himself. I think the ball hit the woodwork twice. It comes out on the edge of the box and then a left-footed, half volley.
It's a great volley, that. Really.
Unbelievable. It doesn't look as good because it doesn't hit the back of the net, right?
Right, exactly. But he took it really well.
Yeah, and then they run out 3-1. So Chelsea, 3 points and the only real big side to win this weekend. Lukaku was a bit quiet, wasn't he? And that's 3 games now. And I wonder whether he's playing with his back to goal or they're not using him in the way they would.
He had something like 8 touches in the first half. I think he only had in the box, 8 touches in the box, and then only 1 touch in the box in the second half. I mean, he did mention after the last international break that he had a minor thigh issue, which the club have said isn't an issue. I mean, I don't know. I mean, he's just not getting the break, is he? I mean, he's a very good player, but I mean, I mean, since his Villa brace, he's not done much at all, really. I mean, he will come good, probably. I mean, they've got Norwich in a couple of... is it next week or the week after they've got Norwich? They've got Brentford and then Norwich, yeah.
He can be hot or cold. He was like... I know he's a better player probably now than he was at United, but he was like this for United. It was, streaks of scoring a few goals and then he would disappear in a few games. You wouldn't see him. So, going back to that VAR decision, I was with you. I thought, the ball's there to be won. It's a yellow card. But then when you did see it, James Ward-Prowse made an absolute error sliding in. There was no need,
right?
Too keen. I understand it's chasing the game, but there was really no need to do that. And
there was no need to do it. But I mean, when they're going to do these VAR like reviews, the referee's got to watch it in normal time because watching something like that in slow motion is just
makes
making it look worse than it is. He never left the ground and he went in one-footed. Yes, the studs are high, but I mean, he was going for the ball and he just caught him on the ankle.
So you don't agree? You don't agree with the red card?
An orange, definitely not a straight. Definitely not. I mean,
half-time orange.
I mean, they've got to be careful with this VAR. I think it's being used better, but it's clear and obvious. You don't need to slow something down to see if that kind of a challenge is clear and obvious. Just watch it in real time. What's the to gain on that? The contact's been made. It's quite obvious contact's been made. So you're not checking if it's a penalty or anything. You just watch it in normal time. And do you think it was dangerous? Because slowing it down just makes it look worse.
What I don't understand with VAR is if they've got someone in Stockley Park, right? They've got a couple of people in there checking it and reviewing it.
Yeah, they've got Babe Station.
If they're going back and forth, slowing it down, speeding it up. And if they're still not sure, they're going to go to the referee and then ask him to go and have a look. Surely if they're not sure about it and they can't make a decision, then they should just tell the referee, this is inconclusive. Just keep the yellow as it is. I don't understand why they have to then go to that referee and tell him to go and have a look himself.
Well, why not
just go tell the referee to go have a look straight away? Do you know what I'm saying?
I don't think they want to be re-refereeing games. I think they want the man in the middle to make the final decision. They're saying you need to review it.
But sounds like a Michael Jackson song.
But it's basically saying, are you sure about that? Do you know what I mean? After you've made your decision, they turn into Chris Tarrant all of a sudden, right? And make you second guess yourself. As soon as they go over, the 9 times out of 10, they rethink their decision, right?
Well, but that's okay if it's the right decision. I just don't understand why someone else needs to say, I'm not sure as well. Even though this is my job,
but if
you go and have a second look.
If you're not sure, then it's not clear and obvious.
Exactly, that's my point. So you just keep it a yellow card if it's not obvious. Otherwise, you just tell the ref, yeah, actually that was definitely a red card. We've made our decision here, so go and give him the red. it's not like they're not a team. They're a team, aren't they?
But that was the main
not an in-
criticism. That was the main criticism when they first brought VAR in, that they weren't using the screen. And I think FIFA and the IFAB have come out and said, no, you have to use the screen. It's weird how they adopt it in the Premier League. I mean, there's been it seems to it's worked so well in the Euros.
I still think it's working better than it has. Purely because I think referees are understanding that. I also think fans are more patient with it. They're starting to understand it a lot more now, and rather get
choice.
Rather get decisions that are correct or mostly correct, because you'll never get things that are perfect, like decisions like this. But it's better than nothing, I believe.
Yeah.
All right, let's crack on. Have we finished there, Stefan?
Yeah, I was just going to say Southampton again. Quite unlucky, really. They didn't really play too badly, but again, it's another game in which they haven't got any points. They score from a set piece. I don't really know if they're playing into the strengths of Adams and Armstrong. So yeah, it could be a tough few months ahead for Southampton.
Quite sure what strengths Adams and Armstrong actually have. I mean, there's a lot of huff and puff there.
They run the channels, don't they? I think, but
so do French fishermen. But I mean, it's like. It's a case of like, where's the final end product, really? I mean, it's just
that might be the best one you've done. That was very good. That was very good.
I don't know. I'm not convinced by Armstrong or Adams, to be perfectly honest.
Nigel Farage has just turned up.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I mean, he might actually get a bit more effort. I mean, it's gonna again be a long season for Southampton, I think.
All right, let's move on then. Wolves against Watford. No Bamford, as we mentioned, and Watford fans were a bit peed off that there was no Cleverley on the pitch. We'll crack on with the game. It was a corner coming in from Leeds, wasn't it? And Watford were terrible, unable to deal with it. Good cross by Rafinha. It somehow managed to drop to Llorente, who found a way to slot it home to make it 1-0. Pretty much all Leeds in the first half. Watford were looking toothless and lacking strategy. Do you know who said that? Toothless and lacking strategy.
The chairman. Chairman.
No, it was Ben.
The owners.
Ben Foster said that.
Oh, what? And was he filming the game at the time?
I think taking a selfie. No, Ben Foster, the goalkeeper, said that they were toothless and they lacked strategy. Watford did have a goal disallowed in the second half. Kabasele fouled Cooper, though. Melia did drop it. It was a lucky boy, but it was a correct decision. And then Foster, he turned the villain. He made a mess of a bad cross from, who was it? Phillips, who crossed it in. And then, Tyler Roberts pinged one was it a half volley, and it hit the bar. Job done for Leeds. Fans will be relieved, I'm sure. I'm sure the players are as well, to get first win of the season under their belt. And their next game after the international break is Southampton away. So I'm sure to get those 3 points and not have to worry about winning in the next 2 weeks is a grave concern off their mind. Watford, this loss meant that Xisco got the sack.
Dumped like a truck.
Ridiculous. Absolutely insane. 2 wins.
It's an absolute joke of a club, isn't it?
They are 15th at the minute, and they just a 1-0 loss to Bielsa's Leeds, and that was enough for them to say no. I don't understand it. It's insane.
The thing is, the fans don't seem that upset by it, do they?
Maybe they're used to it now.
Yeah.
Well, from what I've seen, I mean, I don't think they really like the football that he was serving up. I mean, he's got them promoted. Thank you very much. Off you pop. I mean, it's got to be one of the worst ran clubs in the entire football league. To be honest, I can only think of Oldham that apparently I would say are probably worse ran at the moment. Since Graham Taylor,
you have to put Newcastle up there as well.
Well, at least he's trying to sell it, and trying to sort of bring in someone who could take them forward. Because let's be frank, with Newcastle, just to touch on that, if someone did come in and buy them, they do very well. They've got the fan base, they've got the stadium. I mean, they do all right. Now, the owners of Watford, they own Udinese, and is it Getafe? No, I'm wrong there. They only own an Italian club and a Spanish club. And we do know that they are a bit trigger happy with the managers there. Since Graham Taylor's left Watford in 1997, I think they've had about 22 different managers. Viali Lewington, Boothroyd, Mackay, they've had twice. Rogers, Sean Dyche, Zola, Sanino, Garcia, McKinley, Jokanovic, Flores, Materazzi, Silva, Garcia, Flores, who I think's been there twice, Hayden Mullins twice, Nigel Pearson, Ivic, Munez, and now it's Ranieri. If Ranieri makes it to the third round of the FA Cup, which is mid-January, I'll be astounded. I mean, honestly, what an absolute... I mean, the last time they're in the Premier League, they had 3 managers.
Yeah.
And it's just... where I really like to see them go down. Just to show the fact that you look at a club like Burnley, who might not play the most attractive football by any stretch of the imagination, and generally stink the place out 7 games out of 10, but they just do enough to stay up because they have continuity, you know? And Watford are no bigger than Burnley, to be perfectly honest with you, either now in recent Premier League times or in the history of the football league, you know? And you just have continuity in that side, then, or in any team, you give yourself a fighting chance of staying up. Now, whoever comes in, what kind of ideas are they going to have about the youth team setup or players that can come through? You know, you look at Tuchel, at Chelsea, he goes and watches the under-18s, the under-19s, the under-21s. He wants to know who's coming through the ranks. You know, you've got, and different managers will have different opinions about the youth team setup, which is going to be massively important for clubs like Watford. And a new guy comes in every 3, 4, 5 months, and they're just going to have different opinions about who can possibly start training with the first team, who can come through, who am I going to bring in to play in the League Cup 4th round to give them some first team experience. And they've made an absolute shambles of it at Watford. And I'm just surprised, really, that the fans really wanted Xisco to go, and they just accept the whole palaver.
I don't really understand
going through.
Surely their objective is to stay in the Premier League.
Well, of course, but
so
they're making
right,
a pig's
right,
ear of it.
Oh, right now they're 15th. So right now he's achieving that objective, is he not? He's had 2 wins. They're not playing badly. They're not getting battered when they do lose.
I think they weren't too keen on him coming into the season. I don't think he's ever managed in the top flight before at any level, Xisco. And they're looking at stats and saying, at this rate, we wouldn't stay up.
No, but they've brought in about 20 players. I mean, who's brought them in? You know, I mean, I'm sure Xisco's had a say in some of them, but I mean, I don't know. It just seems just the recruitment, the managerial appointments. They're as bad, these owners, and I do apologise for not remembering who they are, but
the Potsos, isn't it?
Yeah, they're as bad as Ashley in a large extent, because they just don't have a plan at all. And it remains to be seen what Ranieri can do there. I love Ranieri, but I mean, he was absolute horseshit at Fulham.
He's not a firefighter, is he?
No, he's not at all. And he never has been. I mean, he did keep Sampdoria up, didn't he, when he went there? But that's his backyard, isn't it, Italian football? It's a different...
Well, I feel like we're talking now like there's 7 games left of the season, rather we've just started 7 games.
No, but I would say that Ranieri's probably got seven games in his season, to be perfectly honest, with the way that the owners are acting. I'm
just saying, though, like I think it's we all agree that it's really unfair for Xisco to go right now, right? Surely you should give him more time.
I think it's something to do with the run of fixtures they've got coming up as well, which is horrible.
But has the run of fixtures they've just had been any better?
But surely you let him play those fixtures and then make a decision. 7 games in?
I mean, they're going to get absolutely hammered by Liverpool when they turn up in the early kickoff in a couple of weeks. I could see Salah just absolutely running amok there, to be honest. I mean, they've got. I mean, they could. I mean, Norwich's fixtures take a good turn, and they could easily find themselves rooted to the bottom of the table if Ranieri gets this wrong. I mean, what a set of fixtures they've got coming up. They have got next 6. Liverpool home, Everton away, Southampton at home. That's probably the only one they're going to get something off. Arsenal away, Man United home, Leicester away.
Probably the United one as well. So the Potso family came in 2012. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So let me just count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 managers.
I mean, no managers lasted longer than a season.
Yeah.
And it's just, I don't know. Where'd you go from this? Because Garcia,
very strange.
in 2019, took Watford to the FA Cup final.
Yeah.
And then they sack him.
Crazy.
Oh, it's just, honestly, don't know where they're going. This club, and we'll find out. I mean, they'll get what they deserve ultimately at the end of the day. And we may well be talking in May what an inspiration it was bringing in Ranieri when he finishes 7th and they end up in the Europa Conference. And if they do that, I will go one better than Gary Lineker and eat my own underpants.
Okay. All right, let's move on from that image of Clive eating his own underpants. Next game was. Let's have a look. I need to write these down. Brighton. Oh no, sorry. It's Clive, Wolves and Newcastle.
I mean, I'm really, really pleased to see Wang sort of get a couple of really good goals against Newcastle. I mean, he's forming a little, dare I say, a little partnership with Jimenez, whose future, I mean, there's a player there still with Jimenez after his injury. But I mean, is it a case of him now becoming more provider for Wang, maybe?
Could be.
But it's just weird with Wang because, I mean, he scored quite a few goals at Red Bull Salzburg, but his record in the German league was pretty poor, to be perfectly honest. He didn't really perform. He's sort of perceived as being a bit too sensitive. He had a very similar problem to St. Maximin with COVID when he caught it, and that knocked him for 6. And I think he was out of the game for a good 5 or 6 months, just didn't have the energy to train or let alone play. And they just needed to get him a move. And Wolves came in for him and they took a bit of a punt. And that punt might come off. And Wolves need it. And I think Wang's probably the closest thing that Wolves have now got to Diego Jota. So he does offer a great dimension to them. And he's keeping Traore outside, you know. So, I mean, it's good for them. And, you know, for Newcastle, really. I mean, Willock's injured now. So, I mean, where do they go from here, Newcastle? I mean, where's the next win coming from? I mean, it's looking dire for them. I mean, I don't think Wilson's back for another 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah, they need him back desperately.
They do. I mean, I just can't see I can't see Steve Bruce leaving until this takeover is decided one way or the other, and that won't be till January. And you know, they're just going to have to keep fighting buyers. Really, I just don't know how Newcastle can really get out of it. The old saying is, well, there's always 3 worse clubs. I think they're one of these 3 worst clubs. You know, if you sort of say Southampton are going to struggle this season, then they're probably not in the bracket of 3 that I'm thinking of now, which is Newcastle, Norwich, and Burnley. So let's see. I mean, if a miracle happens and the takeover is ratified and they get a few quid to spend, maybe Bruce won't be the one doing it.
I was just about to say, do you want Bruce to be spending that money?
He'll be gone straight away. Won't he?
I mean, I would actually, what I would want is to see Bruce run as fast as what he does in FIFA 22, and then he gets to keep his job. But then who would they bring in? I mean, Pochettino was linked before. Conte would be ideal for them if the takeover came in. Absolutely ideal. I mean, I do feel the only person I would feel sorry for in that scenario would be Almiron. I mean, he's average at best, good on a good day, but he doesn't half put in a shift. He really tries his heart out. He loves the fact that he's come all the way. He's from Paraguay, right? He's come all the way from Paraguay, and he's got a chance in the Premier League, and he won't get you more than 6 or 7 goals a season, but he tries his heart out. He really does. And that's pretty much it. You know, I mean, there'll be a clear out if the takeover goes through at Newcastle. It needs to happen. But if this takeover doesn't go through, then I just can't see. In some ways, people looking at Newcastle to take them over, if they go down to the Championship, they'd probably get them cheaper. So, I mean, the next 6 or 7 months are going to define probably the next few years for Newcastle United.
Do we not see any situation where he sacks, if Ashley stays, he sacks Bruce?
No, because I think Bruce is just a yes man.
Oh, he's a lightning rod, right? He
he's a rod. He's a rod of some description. I'm not sure which one it is, but I mean, he's going to. If Bruce stays and he keeps them up, I can't see him staying another season. I really can't, because it can't be doing him any good. This kind of, he's clearly peeved that he wasn't backed in this transfer window, and it's just a ticking time bomb the way Newcastle are at the moment. And Aaron, who have they got next? Do we know?
I don't know. I haven't got that information in front of me.
Yeah, I mean, it's not looking good for them. They've got a real tricky run of fixtures. I mean,
oh, sorry. I think they've got Spurs at St James's.
Well, I mean,
that's not an easy.
Exactly.
They're not, but they're playing better, aren't they?
Then they've got Palace after that, and Palace look good. Then Chelsea, then Brighton, then Brentford, then Arsenal. I mean, if I had to pick a game where they might get 3 points, it might be against Norwich, beginning of December, maybe Burnley. But I mean, they could easily, either side could nick a draw off them, really. If Wilson is injured, they've had it. If Wilson's back, they've got a small fighting chance. But I mean, they knew what they were buying in Wilson, a player who's probably going to miss a good third of the games all season, if they're lucky. And that's what they're relying on.
Yeah, but a decent win for Wolves, though, nonetheless.
Oh, very much a decent win for Wolves, and, you know, promise for the future. You know, I mean, like Bruno Lage definitely needed that win, you know, because otherwise he's going into the next international break without a victory under his belt. We got the Southampton win, but I mean, you know, it would have questions would have come up again about them if it was another home defeat, should I say? And they've got that. They've had the first away win, they've had the first home win. Jimenez is slowly progressing, and they've really got a little bit of strength in depth. They've got Trincao, who looks impressive. Marcel on the left. Traore is always great to bring on from the bench. The defense is pretty solid in Cody. Kilman's a decent player for them. They've got Wilfred Bolly. I mean, it's a good team, and Wolves will probably finish top 10. Maybe even go on a little bit of an FA Cup run. Yeah, I mean, it's far more worrying about what might happen at Newcastle and Wolves.
All right, Stefan, Brighton and Arsenal.
Yeah, I think maybe actually our best performance of the season so far, even though we didn't get the 3 points. Yeah, we were on the front foot, well in control for most of the game. First half, we had a 10-minute spell. We really should have scored. Arsenal couldn't get out of their own half. It looked dangerous from set pieces all of a sudden. We didn't last year, and I think that's probably down to the fact we've got Shane Duffy and Dunk in the box now. And the main threat was actually coming from the left-hand side for Cucurella, who was hands down man of the match. He gave Tomiyasu a torrid time. It looked like Brighton had started up with a 5 at the back, but really it was more of a 4-3-3 with Burn at left back and Cucurella kicking on. And at £15 million, he looks an unbelievable signing.
He does.
So yeah, another good piece of recruitment there from Brighton. Second half, similar story. Brought Solly March on midway. We got in behind a little bit more. Lallana had a great game. He's played every game now. Started 6 of them. And he's made a real difference this season. And Trossard looks dangerous as well. But Arsenal defended well. And they look a lot more solid now with Gabriel and Ben White in there.
I think Gabriel has really helped and progressed Ben White, because like Ben White he was getting a lot of the blame, I think, unfairly, unjustly at the beginning of the season. But having Gabriel next to him, he looks like a different player now. He looks like the Ben White of last season, I think, and that's down to him forming a partnership with Gabriel. And I think having Partey in front of him as well, having
a bit of protection,
exactly, which he
he's
didn't
used
have.
to playing in a three. We've never really seen him other than at Leeds. I don't think he's ever really played in a two before.
That's true, yeah.
So yeah, it looks good for him. And Ramsdale, he does look like a good signing.
He does, yeah.
And he's really good with his feet.
He's very vocal as well, which I didn't realise.
He's completely different to Leno, isn't it? Yeah,
exactly, yeah.
And you need that, don't you? And
I think so.
And I think if we're looking at his England career, I think one of the reasons Nick Pope doesn't get a look in is because he's no good with his feet. He might be a better shot stopper than Pickford, but he can't play the ball out. And I think Ramsdale, maybe long term, he might be looking at that jersey, because we know Pickford's got a mistake in him. Arsenal didn't really have many chances. They had one near the end. Smith Rowe sort of went clear through. There was no real threat. I think Dunk really kept Aubameyang in his pocket in the second half. And after the Spurs game, you were sort of thinking, I was maybe expecting Arsenal to come here, especially when Brighton had no Basuma, and maybe dominate. But it was a bit of a case of after the Lord Mayor's show, and they didn't really get going. So ultimately, two good defences, 0-0. And as a Brighton fan, it shows progress when you're coming away with a draw from Arsenal and you're really disappointed with it. The one niggling doubt in my head is we had 21 shots and only 2 on target, and that stinks of last season's form. And
I was just about to say, you were texting me through that match saying, last season, this reminds me of last season so much.
And you expecting, but you made me think, in the net.
Yeah, you made me think Arsenal were going to go up the other end and score, but that never really occurred.
Last season they would have, is what I would say.
Right,
we look a bit more solid. So I just wonder, as we go further on into the season, whether we can rely on Neil Maupay to get double figures or 15 goals like we need him to, really, if we're going to keep up this Champions League push.
He's got 4 already. I mean, he looks quite sharp this season. I love that goal he got against Palace.
He's leading
so
the line
well
well.
taken.
Yeah, it really was. It was a great goal.
Composure in the last minute to do that. But he had 4 this time last season, and then
oh really?
And then
he's on penalties, right?
Yes, yeah. But he scored a penalty this season already. Scored one against Leicester. So,
do you see that as a missed opportunity? I know it was a great draw in theory.
Well, if we'd won, we were top, right? So from that,
I just mean in general, though. Do you think it's points dropped? Are you happy with the point? How do you look at it right now?
We got to think Basuma's not playing, is he? He's probably our best player. Still no Lamptey back. We've got Norwich away next, so I'd fancy us there. We've got 2 weeks to get our players back. So yeah, could well go top again.
Tricky after that, though, isn't it, Stefan? At home and Liverpool away.
But we got points in those fixtures last year. I think we beat Liverpool. We beat City.
3-3, wasn't it? 3-3 on the last day, wasn't it, against City? Was it not?
We beat them 3-2.
Beat 3-2. Sorry, yeah.
I think they'd already run the league, right? But still, we'll take that. So yeah, I don't know. I think we can mix it with anyone this year. I feel a lot more confident when we've got Lamptey starting. I don't really know the reasons why he didn't start against Arsenal if he's fully fit. I think that might have been quite a nice game to bring it back to. But
is there any game you're not going to say that?
I just don't get it. He's just absolutely fantastic.
Norwich in a couple of weeks. That's the one, innit?
Yeah.
Cucurella on the left, Lamptey on the right. Wow. Yeah. I mean, that really could be. I mean, when I think, who do we have? When Leicester won the league, I'm not saying Brighton.
Danny Simpson.
You
saying Brighton are going to win the league as well?
Fuchs on the right. I would say that Brighton have got a good chance of top 8 if they play the cards right. Really, I mean, if Maupay can get 15 odd goals,
disappointed with top 8 there, Stefan.
I thought you were going to say top 4, Clive. And now,
oh Jesus Christ, I
said, didn't I?
I'm not that tired.
If we had a striker, we could have done a West Ham this year. What is it for the Conference League? Because that's the one I'm excited about.
You've got could go down to 7th depending on how cups.
7th, all right. So we'll target that.
I mean,
that's
Brighton in Europe.
Maupay's your striker, though, isn't he? He does need a partner, and Welbeck's
support,
not that.
Yeah.
Welbeck's not going to get you more than half a dozen goals of the season. But I mean, it's looking good for Brighton this season. They're not going to be in the relegation battle, are they? Unless there's an absolute disaster on the injury front.
Oh, we're well clear of that. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I watched the game and I thought it was a little bit of a missed opportunity. Even though you had 20 shots on target,
was there one clear cut opportunity?
But in saying that, a lot of the half chances were going really wayward. I just thought just one or two of those half chances could have been turned into at least like real proper chances, but yeah, failed to do so. But yeah, I think both teams will be fairly happy with the point right now, to be honest. I think Arsenal are steadying the ship, even though they won the last two games. I think going to Brighton is no easy task. So I think they'll be relatively comfortable with that point. And Brighton playing against an Arsenal team that's a little bit more resurgent now and getting a point without Bissouma, your best player. So yeah, I think it's a game where both teams will go away happy. Did you just mention who they've got after the international break? Norwich, right?
Norwich, yeah.
I'll say yeah. I think. Oh, smiles at Brighton.
Exactly, yeah.
All right, moving on to Sunday then. Clive, Crystal Palace and your team, Leicester City.
Well, same old story, really. I mean, indeed, he's now out for 5 weeks with a hamstring injury. So that you can just add that to Evans' ongoing heel injury, which doesn't look like it's improving. Hopefully, after the international break, there's progress with that. Justin's still out. Fofana's still out. It's just a case of a back two. Centre half pairing of Vestergaard and Soyuncu is just never going to work in a month of Sundays. You need a back three and give a bit more width to that side. Although the creativity was better, attack wise, Leicester looked great against Palace. I mean, Lookman looked on song. Barnes is getting back to his best, and there was a point in the second half where Barnes decided to shoot. Where he could have laid it off to Vardy, would have been 3-0 and game over, and he just didn't do it. But Iheanacho was just really, really top of his game, and I really hope Rodgers has seen that. And
when you saw that starting 11 and you saw Iheanacho and Vardy up front, were you cheering?
Very happy,
because you've been calling for
because
this.
It's had to happen, and we went 2-0 up. And the way he took that goal, I mean, I know it was a mistake by Anderson. But I mean,
it was him charging him down. Wasn't it?
Nonchalant finish. I mean, a lot of strikers in that situation would have just wellied it, and he just calm as a cucumber. And for a player that's his first start of the season in October in the league, I think he's had a couple of starts. He had one start in Europa League. I mean, God knows what happened with the paperwork that couldn't mean he couldn't play in Warsaw. I mean, that's another story. I mean. This is why I'm wearing my Barcelona shirt, in hope that we get the West Brom of La Liga in Barcelona and end up in a playoff situation with them, because that would just be a dream come true for Leicester to get Barcelona in a playoff and have half a chance of beating him in Europa League. A lot of fans, I mean, we were talking about this last week about Man United's fan base digging into sort of what should and shouldn't be happening at Man United. I mean, just to put into context what Rodgers has achieved at Leicester City, his win rate is 53%. He could lose or draw his next 23 games. And even then, he'd be our second best manager in our history. So, I mean...
Are you saying that there are Leicester fans?
Yeah, well, there's Leicester fans that are kind of fed up with him.
What? Really? Seriously?
Well, fed up with him to the extent is that I think they can't understand his team selection. I think they see him,
but not going so far to say that they want. Right? Okay.
I mean, there is a talk that the good times have come to an end at Leicester. I mean,
come on, the injury issues that you've had.
Well, yeah. I mean, this is it. I mean, you've got to be realistic. I mean, Vestergaard's a bit of a pun because it was last minute and we needed to get someone in.
Yeah,
and we'd scouted him, and in a back three of Evans, Vestergaard, Soyuncu, Justin, Vestergaard, Soyuncu, Fofana, and the pairing. Yeah, it might work. Just not in a back two. There's just no cohesion there whatsoever. And James Justin probably might see him around about mid-November time, I reckon. And if we can get him in, and he'll do a job in a back three until maybe if Evans isn't fit, and until Fofana can come back. We might see Fofana around about February, maybe. And that's just going to be our season in a nutshell, really. I think there'll be a lot of games where we should have closed out a win, and just purely because defensively we're too frail.
Are you writing your season off now? Just
writing the season off. I think top 10's a possibility. I think a cup run in the FA Cup again is a distinct possibility. If we can somehow scab second place in Europa League, then the playoffs for that I'll have to check, but I don't think they would be till February, in which case then there's a chance of bringing in some signings. There'll be definitely improvements on the injury front, please. And Europa League could be a possibility. I mean, there's a double header coming up, I think in October with Spartak Moscow, home and away, and we've got to win both of them. And I think the last game in that group's away at Napoli. So I think we've got a double header coming up, home and away against Spartak Moscow. Got to win both those. Got to beat Legia Warsaw at home, and top spot will probably come down to who wins that Napoli game.
Top spot plays one fewer game. Is that right?
Basically, yeah. Top spot, you're straight through to the round of 16. Second place means you'll play off against the third place teams from the Champions League.
Okay.
Yeah, it could easily be Barca or someone else. I mean, very exciting times for Leicester to be in this caliber of competition, because 10, 11 years ago we were in League One playing bloody Warsaw. But I mean, I think Rodgers has kind of laid down a bit of a gauntlet to Maddison to kind of back up his ideas. We do have personnel attack-wise. I don't think it's a problem for scoring goals. I do wonder why Daka's not had more of a look in than he has. And personally, going back to what I was saying earlier, I don't think Daka will get a look in unless something happens to Vardy or something.
You were singing the praises of Vardy, weren't you, when we were doing the preview show, and he scored again.
I mean, I think brilliant. I mean, he's an outstanding footballer.
For what?
Why would you drop him? Skittles and vodka.
Early episodes of Steptoe and Son.
What do you think I'm going to say? Go on.
He's
for keep going when you're a non-league player, some bollocks like that.
For early international retirement, I think.
Oh, yeah, I'll go on with that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
There we go. I mean,
but anything to say about how you capitulated and the Palace goals? Because
defensive implosion. I mean, you don't clear your lines. I mean, the ball bounced around in the box, you'll get punished. It's that simple. And Vestergaard was to blame. Bertrand for the second goal was just waltzing around. You've got two tall, with sign shoes, a bit of a lump. Get in there, get your head on it, get it out, and they just couldn't. And that was our undoing. To be honest, we were lucky not to lose it. I mean, Edouard hit far before all that, and he looks a player. I mean, Edouard's impressive, very impressive. And Palace have done well to get him in price they have. Or at least say we've been banging on about him all pod. He looked outstanding in his little cameo, and they've got a real player there, Palace.
Gallagher as well.
Gallagher looks good. I mean, Gallagher is kind of a similar mold to Maddison. They've got Tyrone Mitchell as well. I was very impressed with him. He's a great little back as well. Palace will do all right this season. Again, I mean, Palace and Brighton could kind of finish very close to each other. It's a toss up there, Stefan. Well, I think you
don't be looking down the league.
If I was have to pick one, I would say that the Potter's probably got them playing a more continuous style of football than what Vieira's trying to impose there. But let's not forget, Eze's still got to come back for Palace. And then they've got three fantastic attacking midfielders in Elise, Eze, and four. Elise, Eze, Gallagher, and Zaha. I mean, they could do very well this season, Palace. So I mean, let's see how they get on.
Yeah, credit to Vieira. When he first came in, I wasn't sold. I thought it would be a thoroughly modern Millie sort of manager who didn't really know what he was doing and getting irritated and annoyed. But Palace, dare I say it, are actually difficult to beat now.
Yeah.
Even when they go down, they just keep on fighting and keep on pushing, as evidently we saw against Leicester. So,
and his subs that he made, they had an impact, didn't they? So everything he's trying is coming off.
So props to Crystal Palace. Yeah. Disappointing draw for Leicester. I mean, Crystal Palace is never an easy place to go. We know that. But to be 2-0 up and...
It's the same against Napoli. Leicester were 2-0 up and then they threw it away.
Yeah, so... disappointing. But not the end of the world, I guess. All right, let's move on now. Tottenham against Aston Villa. Now, a real solid victory for Tottenham this, because I think when we predicted in the preview show, we all said that Villa were going to nick this one.
We said he was going to get the sack, pretty much, didn't we?
Yeah.
And then the Watford manager got it.
They ended 3 losses on the bounce. Royal, Romero and Skip returned to the starting 11. Villa were unchanged from their victory at Man United. And I'm sure their confidence was sky high from that victory. They started well, but Spurs gradually started to edge proceedings. And after Kane almost audaciously lobbed Martinez from that free kick, it was Højbjerg who was able to bag after 27 minutes after a nice reverse pass from Son. And just before half-time, John McGinn nearly bagged a fantastic volley, but it was just wide of the post. And then second half, Villa came out swinging. And I think Ings and Target had their shots blocked. And then I think Aston Villa then denied Royale and Son with the last gasp intervention. And then on the 68th minute, it was Villa who scored a deserved equaliser. Target from a low cross, and Ollie Watkins found the back of the net from the near post. But then when you just thought the tables were turning and Villa was starting to maybe progress to get a winner, it was Spurs who 4 minutes later managed to find a second and deciding goal. Son running down that left, who played fantastic all game, has to be said, slid the ball into that corridor of uncertainty, and Target got on the end of it before Mora did to score an own goal. Tottenham now up to 8th place, who are having a poor season apparently. Villa, who are having a great season, are in 10th. So, yeah.
Decent win for Spurs, really, isn't it?
It really is. It really is.
Villa are no pushovers.
Not at all, no. I know that.
They look better, didn't that midfield look better? With they went the double pivot in there with
better?
Skip
Yeah.
and Hodgberg and who was in front? Ndombele?
Yeah,
Ndombele instead of Ali. We thought was having a great season, didn't we? And all of a sudden, looks terrible again.
I must be honest. I saw the team, and I was like, why are they playing Højbjerg? And why Oliver Skip in midfield? I was like, really? I mean, no creativity.
It's interesting because Skip, he seems to be like a pretty imperative player for
all of a sudden.
Yeah, he's like his name seems to be one of the first names in the starting 11. If he's available, it's him. I think he likes him and Højbjerg, whatever you want to call him, as that double pivot. And then it's either Ali, who's now out of fashion again, and Ndombele, who seems I like Ndombele. I think he's a pretty decent player actually. It's just sorting his head out. Can you get the best out of him? He's just one of those.
I mean, Ali's in danger now of seeing his career just sort of pass before his eyes if he's not careful.
Are we at that stage already?
Well, I think we possibly are. I think
it's the sort of player who needs to move on now.
We'll probably end up at Roma or something. Probably won't end up at Roma.
Mourinho could revive his career.
Maybe not. But I mean, if he's not getting in this Spurs team now,
exactly.
Yeah.
Great point.
I mean, I thought he'd kick on a little bit, and then when
Mourinho you were all over him at the beginning of the season, mate. You were like, Ali's going to be resurgent, and it could go to the only. I'm thinking now, maybe Everton, maybe Benitez can get the best out of him. Maybe Benitez can give him two things to do.
There were green shoots
and shoot.
There were green shoots with him when Ryan Mason took over, and he looked like has Mourinho really been harsh? I mean, maybe Mourinho's assessment of him is kind of right.
Looks that way. It looks that way.
Maybe his application in games just simply isn't what it used to be, and his intensity just is lacking, and he's kind of just
maybe he peaked 23 or 24.
I mean, he won't be the first player to do that. I mean, quite possibly. I mean,
but he started the season so well. He was running up and down that midfield. He was playing almost defensively, intercepting passes. And then it fizzled out. And that's the worry with Ali. When his head does go down and when he isn't playing well, to get him back to where he was before, it seems incredibly difficult, bordering on impossible right now.
Nuno's job to do that, because you don't know when they might have to rely on him. I mean, if they want European football again next season, winning the Conference League might be the best option for them, and that puts them in Europa League. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's going to be interesting. I'm not sure which way and how the season's going to pan out for Spurs yet. It's difficult to kind of gauge where they're at. I mean, Harry Kane still hasn't scored for them in the league, has he?
I don't know. He hasn't. No,
he hasn't.
No. He was a bit more involved.
He was. Oh yeah, without a doubt, he was more involved for sure during that game. And I think he did have a chance, didn't he? With 10 minutes to go, he was 1-on-1, and you're thinking like last few seasons goal, but yeah, this season just he's not quite there yet. I think it will come back. He's definitely improving. All right, moving on. The other 2:00 kickoff, West Ham and Brentford, Stefan.
Yeah, we said this might be a good game, and we said maybe West Ham might have that sort of European hangover, and that was quite apparent, I think, in the first half. I think Brentford were quite, pretty much on top, the early aggressors. And they look a real threat from set pieces, Brentford. They're quite a big team. And Burma actually gave them the lead after a Canos shot was parried. I think Flappy Hansky tried to get it off the line, but it was already over the line.
To be fair, that was a great save. I know you're calling him Flappy Hansky, but it was a tremendous save he made by Canos. And then he had
a good game, actually.
He almost kept it out as well, didn't he? But
yeah. But West Ham came into the game second half. Jared Bowen up top had a couple of chances, and then he got a half volley from a corner, and then it looked like West Ham were in the ascendancy. They looked like they might go on and win it, and then at the death, a free kick. It was almost a sort of needless free kick given away. The ball breaks in the edge of the box. Another half volley for Wisa, and that's his 5th goal of the season.
Wow. Under the radar, you mentioned him, didn't you?
You said he might start, might have an impact, yeah. And lo and behold, he did. So, yeah, all of a sudden, you say Brighton have had a good start to the season, but Brentford have got to be in that conversation too, maybe. Like, the depth they have is incredible. The players they can bring off the bench. The goalkeeper looks like a revelation. Is it Raya?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And obviously, Tony looks like a real goal scorer and a real threat up top. And yes, they already look like an established Premier League team 7 games into it. Obviously, we've seen this before with the Leeds last season, or maybe Sheffield United the season before. Yeah. But I think there's absolutely no talk of them being in any sort of trouble this season. For West Ham, is that Thursday, Sunday thing? Is this the first sign of that really catching up with them?
Looks like it.
And is he going to have to start balancing that team?
It seems to affect Antonio more than most. To be honest with you, I mean, and we know what his history is like with hamstrings. So I mean,
Brentford up to 7th, just behind Brighton, who were in 6th. Who'd have thunk it?
Yeah, 12 points, right?
Brentford are on 12 points and Brighton are on 14. So, yeah, incredible start from both sides. But I got to say, Tony and Mbeumo, they formed a brilliant partnership. It's really old school like, isn't it? The way
Tony's playing
and
Mbeumo's playing much more advanced, isn't he?
Yeah. Tony, I mean, they're lobbing the ball at Tony and he's managing somehow to just either knock it down or get it down to his feet. And then Mbeumo's just running everywhere, all around him, not too far away. So, yeah, I like the way that they're performing, and it seems like they've got a really good manager as well. So, yeah, all positives for Brentford, because the other promoted sides, Watford,
Norwich.
And Norwich. So,
just polar opposites, isn't it? Really.
Just. All right, then. Last game, an absolute cracker at Anfield. Liverpool versus Manchester City, Clive.
I mean, the first half, you could have totally, I don't know what to make of the first half. Really, it was a very strange game. There was a lot of tenacity, a lot of intensity in the game, and Foden was unlucky not to take the lead for Man City in the first half. I mean, what an absolutely brilliant Route 1 goal that would have been.
Good pass from Edison, right? Is that the one you think talking about?
Yeah. What vision?
Unbelievable.
Remember when Joe Hart it was Joe Hart, wasn't it? It was like, no, not my keeper.
Yes.
Get Edison in. Get Edison. Yeah. And everyone was like, what are you doing? Joe Hart's just won the league for Man City. And Pep was like, I need my keeper to play like a sweeper. And if that gets you 3 or 4 goals a season, which it probably will do against lesser defences, I mean, what a visionary. I mean, just seeing the how much that game meant to Pep as well. I mean, he seemed very, very, very agitated that Milner didn't see red for that foul on Bernardo Silva.
But I would go back to the Foden challenge as well in the first half. I mean, Foden was through on goal, no? And Milner, do you not think that was a foul by Milner on the edge of the box? It was just outside the box, I believe, but still.
I mean, it did kind of carry on into the box. And what made me laugh is that
He wasn't even given a foul.
Well, but what made me laugh, and the reason he didn't get the foul is Foden didn't.
Because it's at Anfield. No?
That
All right.
possibly. Foden didn't make as much of it as what he could have done. Because Foden kind of drops to his knees and then
But that's
decides,
not.
well, I'm going to
You
carry
shouldn't
on.
have to.
Shouldn't have to, right?
I'm going to carry on running for a bit. And then when Foden kind of realised he couldn't make anything of staying on his feet, he fell over again. I mean,
I'll have to watch it again. I can't remember if that happened or not.
I was laughing. I was like, just go down if you're going to go down. I mean, just.
But even on the replay, like Milner just ran across and just caught Foden. I don't understand it.
But we're moving into an area of refereeing in the Premier League and football as a whole, where a touch isn't enough. It will be scrutinised to the nth degree. You can forget about your clear and obvious. The way that refereeing is at the moment is they will scrutinise to the nth degree the severity of a touch before they give a penalty. And that's the area of football that we're in now, and really it was a coming together for me. It wasn't anything more than that,
I disagree. I think Milner clattered him. I think he ran into him.
I mean,
don't think he was anywhere near the ball. Maybe Milner 10 years ago would have got close, but not right now. It was interesting that City targeted Milner.
Oh, you
Well,
got
why
it.
wouldn't you?
35-year-old.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm being complimentary though the way I'm saying it. Like, of course you would, and they did it spot on.
I mean,
City pretty much dominated that first half,
Yeah.
and Liverpool just didn't turn up.
Yeah, well, Gomez could have slotted in instead of Milner, and you do wonder, like,
Yeah.
is he ready?
Yeah,
Does Klopp trust him?
Maybe
But
it's
I
the
mean-
fact that Milner's pretty good at delivering balls and he's good at passing as well. I
He
don't know.
dealt with Zaha quite well a couple of weeks ago. I think maybe that might have been in his thinking.
Possibly. I mean, yeah.
But they missed Trent, don't they?
They are. Well, Trent will be back. Trent will be back by the time they play Watford. I'm pretty sure. I don't think it's a major issue with him. And Trent's level of distribution and creativity, for a right back is just, wow, out of this world. I mean, the stats just speak for themselves. But I mean, second half, probably the best football I've
It's
seen.
unbelievable, wasn't it? Incredible game.
I did not want that match to end. It was exceptional. And, the Salah goal, I think you're going to have to go a long way this season to see a better individual worked goal than that. I mean, it was just sensational. The way he just went through about 4 or 5 of Man City defenders. He left, was it Rodri or was it Diaz? He just left him on his arse. And
I think it was Diaz, wasn't it? Yeah.
Just put it in from such an acute angle. I mean, to be a season ticket holder in the Anfield Road stand for that level of skill, honestly, you'd put your right arm in for that. I mean, it's just a shame, really, that goal didn't win it for them, because what a goal it would have been. Tell you what, though, Man City, don't write them off at all this season, because Kevin De Bruyne looked back to his best. His level of passing throughout the entire game was as world class as that Salah goal, and I think that's gone under the radar a little bit there. I mean, I really do think that you're going to see the best of Kevin De Bruyne in the coming games. I mean,
I've got to say, Bernardo Silva as well looks like a different player than last
season. Piece of skill.
Yes,
was it the first half.
I know exactly what you're thinking about. Yeah,
very similar to what Salah pulled off.
Yeah,
and
but he looks like a different player. Last season he was a little bit lost. I didn't know where his party where he was in the team.
Going to Spurs, right, in part exchange for Kane, part of that deal. But
yeah, but it looks amazing right now. It looks incredible. This game, when Ronaldo and Messi were at the peak for Barcelona and Real Madrid, you used to watch that game hoping that this sort of game that Liverpool and City produce would be in that mold. But I've got to say, the way that these two teams play is probably better football and less diving on the floor. It's some of the best football you're ever going to see.
It's the elite fixture, isn't it?
It's the El Clasico.
It's amazing.
It's the El Clasico in about 10 days' time, and then
that's
it's a dog and duck, isn't it?
It is now. But the following weekend, we've got Man U Liverpool, and I just think what the Liverpool, United, Chelsea, and City, they're all going to take points off each other this season. They're all really level pegging, and
you have to say though, looking at the way City they went to Chelsea, and won there. And then they've got a really good point against a really good Liverpool team.
Yeah.
Are City now potentially the favourites the way that we're looking? Or are we still thinking about Liverpool?
Liverpool, Chelsea, can't write them off. United, I
think you can write. Yeah, I'm saying it now. I think you can write United off.
Let's see. I mean, United were to beat Liverpool, they're back in it.
Last season we played poor, and then all of a sudden we just go on a run, and we look like a different outfit. This season, I think it's even more difficult than last season, the way that City, Liverpool and Chelsea performing. Liverpool were very under strength last season because of injuries, but Chelsea have strengthened, brought in a better manager, and City look back to their best, even though they don't have that striker that they wanted. The false nine that they play.
That will cost them points at some point.
It will, but I feel like they feel like that false nine that they have. I feel like it makes more sense sometimes than having a Lukaku at top or a Ronaldo up top.
As a defender, it must be quite difficult to defend against that.
When do Liverpool concede 2 goals at home?
Yeah,
very rarely, with Van Dijk on the pitch as well. So yeah, I mean, I understand. Like, say it's the 90th minute and you need a goal, you'd love to throw on a Lukaku or Ronaldo, but overall play, the way they pass the ball and the way they get into positions, I don't think they miss us having a striker.
You could say though that had they had a striker, they'd have been home and dry in the first half.
You could say that, but you don't know if they would have created the chances in the first place. So yeah.
I mean, but talk about like what the title race and who you're going to write off. I mean, Liverpool are going to lose Salah. They're going to lose Mane in the African Nations Cup straight after New Year's Day when they play Chelsea. They'll be at the African Cup Nations in Cameroon, assuming it goes ahead. And that runs from I think around the 6th of January to
3 games. I think they're going to miss.
Well, I mean, they'll miss more if they go through. You know, the final's not till the 6th of February, and I mean, the tournament might get postponed again. We don't know, but I mean, you look. I mean, the run that Liverpool have got during that tournament, Liverpool have got from 15th of January during the AFCON. They've got Brentford, Palace, Leicester, Burnley, and then they'll be back. Whereas Man City,
well, to be honest, that's games where they might not miss them.
Well, they might not, because Man City during the same period, they've got Chelsea, Southampton, Brentford, Norwich.
Chelsea have been without Mendy, right? So that's Kepa.
Chelsea be without Mendy. And then Man United, I don't think they would miss anyone, would they not? I don't think it really affects Man United. Man United so much. Doesn't really get inside. Chelsea have got Man City, Tottenham, and Brighton over that same period. And the thing is with Chelsea as well, they're going to be playing catch up because they should, unless it's postponed to February, have the Club World Cup to deal with as well in December. But that's not confirmed yet, so we'll have to watch that one.
Looks like it's all in favour for City then.
Well, a double header for Chelsea: New Year's Day, Liverpool at home, Man City away on the 15th of January, and that could well decide the title race. But I mean, so it's just if we have a top 4 battle like that every time they meet, I mean, wow. I mean, you couldn't wish for more. I mean, what an advert for the Premier League.
But in terms of playing and style, I think Liverpool and City are better than Chelsea.
Yeah, it's a different way of winning games, isn't it?
Yeah. So I think.
I don't know if Lukaku's on his game. He's every bit as good as Ronaldo. He's every bit as good as De Bruyne.
I've got a debate.
Salah's just world class. Salah's the best player in the world at the moment.
I was just about to say that. Do you think, this is the question I was going to ask right now, is there any other player you'd rather have on this planet than Mo Salah?
Not at the moment.
And I'm talking about him and Messi. You could argue that Messi is still a better player, but I think Salah's better than him now.
Nowadays, you go Salah, wouldn't you?
Salah's eclipsed him by a long.
So yeah, I would say that Salah is the best player, the best footballer in the world right now.
Without doubt. We're
all in agreement. Incredible.
Yeah. Boring, isn't it?
Oh, let's leave it there, shall we? Another week of the halftime Oranges teams not winning a game. Last week we had the same. So yeah. How dreadful is that? Another
change. It'll change by the next game week.
We're all unbeaten though, right?
Well, I think
this week, but last week United lost to Villa. So
I mean, we're talking about Ronaldo and his lack of of performance, well, ability and support, and being able to get in the goals against Everton. I just can't see him not featuring and not performing against Leicester in a couple of weeks. Vestergaard and Sionchu, they're going to have their work cut out against United in a couple of weeks. So
I would say I'm looking forward to it, but I'm not looking forward to any United game right now, to be honest.
Well,
I think we're in the same boat there, aren't we, Clive?
Where is it?
Yeah, I'm not. It's at Leicester. It's at Leicester. So
Filbert Street,
hopefully Evans is back for that one, and the defence might look a bit.
Vardy is nailed on to score and do the Sue celebration as every
player
player is. Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, looking forward to that.
Yeah, I mean, was it Townsend who scored and did it?
Every player's going to do it.
And then he came out and said it was out of respect. Just that, sure,
taking a piss of you.
Anyway, folks, let's wrap this up. Thank you for joining us, Clive.
Yeah,
thank you
thanks,
for joining
everyone.
me, Stefan.
Cheers.
And we'll see you next time after the international break here on Halftime Oranges. Thank you for joining us. Bye-bye.